Good day, everyone. My name is Kaizatul Ikma, and I will be presenting the first part of our project on cyber-deviance and modern shaming. So, in the digital era, social media has completely changed how we talk to each other. However, it has also created a trend called cyber-deviance, where internet users choose to skip the formal legal system to punish people publicly online. So, to understand this modern phenomenon, we need to look at three key terms. So, first is cyber-deviance itself, which means online behavior that breaks accepted social rules. Second one is online bullying, which is repeated harassment meant to hurt someone emotionally. And the third one would be cancel culture, which happens when a large group of social media users that completely rejects and boycott someone for doing something offensive. So what started as simple comments has now become organized public shaming, and our presentation explores the cultural and psychological forces behind these digital movements. To understand this issue deeper, we compare two academic studies from different parts of the world. First, we have Article 1, which gives us a Western perspective from Portugal, published in 2025. It is titled To Cancel or Not to Cancel. The study focuses on psychology and explains how a person's search for identity and their political beliefs drive them to cancel campaigns. Second, we have article number 2, which gives us an Asian perspective from Malaysia, published in 2018. It is titled A Survey on the Culture of Online Shaming. So instead of psychology, this study looks at social control. It explains how local communities use online shaming as an informal tool to monitor and police cultural, religious, and civic behaviors. By comparing these two studies, we see a big difference between Western and Asian digital societies. In the West, public targeting is driven by individual psychology, where younger groups use cancellation to enforce progressive social narratives. On the other hand, in Asia, it is driven by community policing, where people use everyday platforms like WhatsApp to protect cultural harmony and punish violations against religious or civic manners. So, to see how this works globally, you can watch the video How Cancel Culture Works, which is linked in our flipbook. Now that we have covered the basics, I will pass it over to our next team member to present the rest of our project.
The first article is titled A Survey on the Culture of Online Shaming, a Malaysian Experience, written by Mahmoud et al. And published in 2018. This study investigates the culture of online shaming in Malaysia and how it has become a form of informal social control. The researchers surveyed 320 law students at University Technology Mara using a 5-point Likert scale questionnaire. Malaysia was chosen due to its high internet penetration rate of 87.5% and its multiracial, multi-religious society, making online shaming particularly sensitive around issues of race and religion. The author concludes that online shaming in Malaysia is a growing and worrying phenomenon with no clear legal framework to regulate it. The authors present four main arguments. Online shaming acts as informal social control, bypassing the legal system through source surveillance. Citizens expose each other online, removing any check on fairness. Without legal safeguards, it is susceptible to mob behaviors. And finally, it is a dual-edged tool that can deliver justice but also cause serious harm when misused. Sexism, racism, and religious bigotry top the shaming behavior at 72.5%, showing Malaysians shame most around race and religion. While only 11.9% actively post shaming content, 30.3% had liked or shared it, meaning passive participation is far more common. WhatsApp dominates as the top shaming platform at 95.3% due to its widespread use in Malaysia. Meanwhile, 93.75% of respondents found shaming content on social media, confirming it as the primary court of public opinion in Malaysia. 4 key concepts explain online shaming in Malaysia. Source Valiance mirrors traditional public shaming ritual now in digital form. Internet vigilantism replaces formal justice with community enforcement. Cyber social control regulate behavior through public embarrassment, and cultural norm enforcement shows this is a universal human behavior uniquely shaped by Malaysia multicultural and religious context. 5 real cases from our article shows online shaming in action. Hijab shaming enforce religious norm online. Doxing expose private information to intimidate others. Bad driving and parking are filmed and shared publicly. The government names and shames tax evaders, and insulting messages are screenshot and spread online. These cases show that online shaming in Malaysia cut across religions, gender, and civic life.
This article, study by Altengi and colleagues, published in Social Science Quarterly in 2025, explored the psychology behind cancel culture. Using an experimental design with 122 Portuguese adults, they tested whether the need for personal significance drives support for cancellation. Drawing on the 3N model for radicalization, they frame cancel culture as an extremist phenomenon and ultimately find that left-wing politician orientation and a chronic quest for significance are its strongest predictors. Now we move on to main arguments. The author puts forward 4 core arguments. First, cancel culture mirrors extremism through moral superiority, in-group dynamics, and delegitimization. Second, the psychological engine is the significance quest. People use cancellation to feel value within their ideological community. Third, political orientation dominates all the other predictors, explaining 22% of variance alone. And fourth, this is the generational Gen Z show the highest support and finding differ across culture, cautioning against universalizing the results. Now on key findings. The regression model explained 31.3% of the variance in cancel culture support. Left-wing orientation was the strongest predictor at beta, which stands for standardized regression coefficient, which is equal to negative 0.43, while the chronic significance quest contributes significantly at beta equal to 0.19. Importantly, experimentally induced significant loss show no significant effect, partly due to failed manipulation. Age matter, younger participants show more support, but gender did not. And personality traits, including the Big Five, were largely non-significant. Now we're moving on to key concept. 4 theoretical concepts anchor this study. Significant quest theory explained that people seek to feel respected and valued, but when it's not working the way expected, they join shaming campaigns to restore social worth. The 3N model shows how need, narrative, and network together escalate individuals into extreme cancellation. In-group, out-group dynamics create an us versus them structure that mirrors extremist group psychology. And political polarization means the same act is seen as accountability by the left and censorship by the right. On case studies, 3 real-world cases illustrate the theory. James Gunn's on 2018, firing by Disney over resurfaced tweets raised questions about whether past statements should define present identity. J.K. Rowling's on 2020, cancellations show how ideology and online networks collectively enforce moral boundaries, fitting the 3N model. Meanwhile, research on Gen Z confirms their fluency with social media make cancellation a primary norm enforcement tool. Studies on significant restoration and incel communities further validate that group belonging drives the need to cancel. Now we're moving on to recommendation video for both article. So for the first article, it shows TV3 News report from July 2024 shows Malaysian police and MCMC being directed to take firm action against cyberbullying. It directly connects to Mahmud et al. Finding that online shaming in Malaysia lacks legal regulation. What the article warned about in 2018 became a national crisis in 2024, proving that without proper legal frameworks, online shaming escalates into real, irreversible harm. And for the second article is about CBS News segment asks a simple but powerful question. Is cancel culture justice or is it censorship? The debate in this video mirrors exactly what Altungi et al. Found in 2025 that left wing individuals see cancellation as accountability, while right wing individuals see it as punishment. Political orientation is not just an opinion, according to the study. It is the single strongest predictor of cancel culture support.
Now I will present the cooperative analysis. The first one is the similarities. Netizens in both cultures unite to condemn perceived moral transgressions such as discrimination or disrespectful behavior. The individuals spearheading these online tribunals and digital enforcement actions are overwhelmingly highly connected youth. It is driven by the perception that former channels are too slow or ineffective. Users utilize keyboards as weapons to force immediate accountability. Last one is it is driven by informal peer actions rather than official verdicts. The resulting public backlash effectively causes career ruin and absolute social death. The difference between these two articles, first one is ontology article. It is analyzed the micro-level psychology of individual internet users. Users attack wrongdoers to boost their own social worth, view cancellation as an ideological trap, vow to isolate deviants and purify their social circle, serve as social currency to build individual status and likes. The Mahmoud article says this is tricks online harming microstructurally as a grassroots tool for social regulations. Users use digital social pressure to protect public order, view it as a harmony defense mechanism, collectively suppressing social divisions to protect community cohesions. Citizens exposed networks ultimately merge with official social control. The key question is how does collectivist shame culture in Asia differ from Western co-op culture? Western co-op culture it operates as a war of ideological poisoning to protect personal autonomy and individual ethics. It isolates the offender as a distinct entity and strips away their platform to purify the boundaries of the digital in-group. Asian shame culture functions as a decentralized mechanism for communal harmony maintenance because individual identity is highly interdependent with the community public shaming targets behavior that threatens collective stability. It is using social pressure to preserve society peace. How does anonymity on social media encourage cyberbullying and online shaming? The internet allows users to hide behind the fake accounts or anonymous identities. This reduces the accountability of users and increase aggressive behavior, hate speech, and public humiliations. People may say things online that they would never say face to face because they feel protected by anonymity. Theories that connect to the articles: first is social Kremlinski significance quiz theory. SQT posits that individuals are driven by a universal need to matter and feel respected. When they experience a real or perceived loss of significance, they latch onto a specific ideology. Robert K. Merton's strength theory. Mertens argues that deviant behavior occurs when people experience pressure from society but cannot achieve social expectations. Surveillance theory. Surveillance reverses the traditional top-down panopticon where the state watches the citizens. Instead, it describes a decentralized model where citizens use mobile technology and social media to watch each other and those in power. The last theory is social theory. Distinguish between formal sections, written laws, fines, prison sentence administered by the states, and informal sections, gossip, ridicule, ostracizations enforced by the peers. Here are the additional media sources.
To conclude, online shaming and cancel culture happen in both Asia and the West, but they are influenced by different cultural value and social backgrounds. In Asia, people often use online shaming to protect community harmony and shared values. In the West, cancel culture is more influenced by personal beliefs and political opinion. Even though they are different, both are used to control behavior and encourage people to follow social norms online. From anthropology and sociology perspective, this practice show how culture, society, and online communities can shape the way people think and behave. Therefore, it is important to understand these issues so that we can create a more responsible and respectful digital environment. That's all from us. Thank you.